All right, thank you guys. Happy Friday to you, and welcome to our NBA video here today for Friday, May 14th. 14th, is it? Either the 14th or the 15th. But anyway, my name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally here today, don't forget to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, we're currently 4-1 with a push in our last 6 board member tier package picks on that Patreon website. And the good news is this: we have another board member tier package pick going off today. We're also 4-2 in our last 6 $1.99 daily best plays on that Patreon page as well. And as the name indicates, if you want to access today's daily best play, it's only going to cost you just $1.99. Now, we currently have over 1,175 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that page is in the description section below. Once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into some Friday action. Once again, happy Friday to you. The weekend is finally here. And we're going to start with the Cavaliers versus the Wizards, 7 p.m. Eastern start time. Washington is -8, totals 228. I'm not so sure Washington is good enough to cover this number without Bradley Beal. They lost their last 2 straight, and remember, these guys give up more points than any other team in the league right now. The Wizards are dead last defensively in points allowed, bottom 10 in defensive rebounding. The Wizards are allowing 120 points a game on their home court. They're taking on a Cleveland squad who's coming fresh off an 8-point victory over Boston, where they held the Celtics to just 94 total points. They've also successfully covered the point spread in their last 2 straight, and they're currently in the top 10 in the NBA defensively in points allowed on the road. Colin Sexton scores over 24 points a game, 3 rebounds, 4 assists for the guard. Meanwhile, Darius Garland's dropping over 17.5 a game himself, 2 rebounds, 6 assists for Garland. Now, do keep an eye on Darius as he's been battling some ankle soreness. So if you're looking to fire on this game, just keep an eye on the status of Garland. But regardless, we're still looking at a Cleveland club who ranks in the top 5 defensively in fourth quarter points allowed on the road. Now, total-wise, Cleveland's last 2 straight did stay under the number, 21-13 to the under as the road team. Meanwhile, the Wizards saw contests with Atlanta, the Lakers, and this very Cleveland squad stay under the line recently themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Cavaliers +8 and the under 228. Next ball game, Nuggets versus the Pistons, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Denver Nuggets are -9.5, numbers 219. Denver's on a 2-game winning streak, 7-3 straight up in their last 10. Denver's currently just 1 game behind the third-place Clippers in the standings. The Nuggets are officially 22 games above 500 right now. They've also been solid on the road this year, 21-13 straight up when traveling, first in the NBA in road defensive rebounding. Nikola Jokic is averaging 26.5 points a game, 10 rebounds, 8 assists for the Joker. Meanwhile, Michael Porter Jr. scoring 19 points a game himself, along with 7 rebounds. This Denver club allows just 109 points per contest away from home. They're taking on a Detroit squad who's officially 30 games below 500 this year. They're currently on a 3-game losing streak. And in addition to that, they're going to have to pretty much go with an unrecognizable lineup on the floor here tonight. Now, Ellington, Joseph, Plumlee, Grant, Magruder, Jackson, and Smith, they're all out. Hamidou Diallo, he's questionable. The Pistons scored just 105 points a game at the Little Caesars Arena, and they currently have the worst record in the Eastern Conference. Now, total-wise, Detroit's 2-0 to the under in their last couple of games, 70% to the under in their last 10. The Pistons are officially 20-14 to the under as the home team. Meanwhile, Denver saw 6 out of their last 10 ball games stay under the line themselves, 60% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Detroit. I'm going to lean toward the Denver Nuggets -9.5 and the under 219. All right, next ball game I have for you. It is going to be the Jazz versus the Thunder. 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Utah Jazz are minus 13, totals 221.5. Now, the Jazz are in first place in the Western Conference. They actually have the best record in the league at 50-20. They're in the top 5 in the NBA in scoring, top 3 in defensive rebounding. Now, Mike Conley's been upgraded to questionable. We may see him in action here tonight. That Western Conference standings, they're bunched up. So they may want to play Conley at least a few minutes here tonight if he can go. He's responsible for 16 points a game along with 3 rebounds, 6 assists. Meanwhile, Bogdan Bogdanovic is scoring nearly 17 a night himself, along with 3 boards. They're taking on an OKC squad who's on an 8-game losing streak, and they've yet to reach double-digit wins at home. They're just 9-25 straight up at the Chesapeake Energy Arena. OKC averages just 105 points a game, and they shoot only 33% from beyond the arc. Now, Lou Dort is sitting this one out here tonight. Ty Jerome is questionable. When it comes to the number in this one, OKC saw 3 out of their last 5 stay under the line, 7-3 to the under in their last 10 with Utah. Meanwhile, the Jazz saw a contest with Portland, San Antonio, Toronto, and Minnesota stay under the line recently themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Utah Jazz minus 13 and the under 221.5. Next ball game. It is going to be Magic versus the Sixers, 8 p.m. East. Phillies minus 13.5, totals 216. Now, the Sixers are still in first place in the Eastern Conference. They're 24 games above 500 for the season. They've also gone 27-7 straight up at the Wells Fargo Center. And they covered the number in 62% of those ball games, of which many of those games were they were laying double digits. Now, the Sixers allow just 108 points a game on their home court. They're also in the top 3 in home defensive field goal percentage. Joel Embiid is scoring over 28.5 points a night, 10 rebounds, couple assists for the process. Meanwhile, Tobias Harris is scoring 19 a game himself, 6 rebounds, 3 assists for the forward. The Sixers are also in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive rebounding. They're taking on an Orlando club who lost their last 5 straight. And they find themselves just 1 game better than the last place Pistons. Orlando's currently 28 games below 500 right now, and they're dead last in offensive field goal percentage. They're also averaging just 102 points a game when they travel. Ross, Porter, Carter Williams, Ennis, Bamba, and Okike, they're all listed as questionable for tonight's action. When it comes to the scoring in this one, Orlando did go 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games. 18-16 to the over as the road team. Meanwhile, the Sixers have gone 19-15 to the over at the Wells Fargo Center themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Philadelphia 76ers minus 13.5 and the over 216. Next ball game, Clippers Rockets 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The LA Clippers are minus 12, totals 226.5. Now, it does look like the Clippers may be resting their stars here tonight. Both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they've been listed as questionable for tonight's action. So it does look like they may be resting those players. And having said that, Houston's sitting out all their noteworthy players themselves. Not that they have many of them, but Wood, House, Wilson, Porter, Jeffries, they're all taking a seat tonight. Not going to see them in action for Houston. And of course, the Rockets are the worst team in basketball right now. They're just 16-54 overall for the season, 8-27 straight up on their home court. And the Rockets are last in defensive rebounding, last in shooting the 3-ball at home. Houston makes just 32% of their 3-pointers at the Toyota Center. They're taking on a Clippers team who, once again, as I just said, they may be resting their stars. But with that in mind, I still think LA's role players are still about 12 points better than Houston's role players. Marcus Morris is drilling nearly 48% of his 3-pointers this season. He's averaging 13.5 points a game, along with 4 rebounds. Meanwhile, Reggie Jackson, we might see, a few more points out of him. He's already averaging double digits, per night himself. 2 rebounds, 3 assists for the guard. Now, total-wise, LA saw their last 10 contests all stay under the number. 13-1 to the under in their last 14 as well. Houston's 22-13 to the under at the Toyota Center themselves. Give me the LA Clippers minus 12 and the under 226.5. Next game, Raptors, Mavericks, 9 p.m. Eastern start time. The Dallas Mavericks are minus 12, numbers 221.5. But as good as Dallas has looked here recently, for some reason these guys struggle to cover the number at home. The Mavs have gotten the job done against the spread in just 15 of 35 home games. And they're also in the bottom 10 in home offensive rebounding. They're taking on a Toronto club who looks to be getting a few of their star players back in the lineup here today. Lowry, Hood, Siakam, Van Fleet, and Anunoby, they've all been upgraded to questionable. Those guys have missed some action here recently. Pascal Siakam, he averages 21 points a game along with 7 rebounds, 4.5 assists. Meanwhile, Gary Trent Jr., he's scoring 15 points a game with his new team, along with a couple of boards. Now, total-wise, Toronto's 21-14 to the over when traveling. Dallas saw their last 3 straight get over the line themselves. The Mavs are also 70% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Toronto Raptors plus 12, keeping this one close, and the over 221.5. Next matchup, Kings, Grizzlies, 9 o'clock East. The Memphis Grizzlies are minus 6, totals 226.5. Now, Memphis is on a 4-game winning streak, top 5 in the NBA in offensive rebounding. John Morant scoring 19 points a night, 4 rebounds, 7 assists for the guard. Meanwhile, Dylan Brooks is averaging 17 points a game himself, 2 rebounds, 2 assists for Brooks. This Memphis squad is in the top 10 defensively in first quarter points allowed. They're also in the top 3 in third quarter points allowed at home. They're taking on a Sacramento squad who may be going to work here tonight. Without Barnes, Bagley, and Holmes, that would certainly be devastating for their chances. All 3 of those guys have been listed as questionable for tonight's action. And I'll tell you what, as good as the Kings have been playing here recently, they still just give up way too many points. They've done it all season long, too. They're dead last in defensive field goal percentage, bottom 3 in points allowed. The Kings let their opponents make nearly 50% of their field goals against them this year, and they gave up 118 points a night on average. Now, total-wise, 2 out of Sacramento's last 3 did get over the line. Memphis saw 4 out of their last 7 get over the total themselves. Throwing out the New Orleans game, I'm going to lean toward the Memphis Grizzlies minus 6 and the over 226.5. And with that, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup of the show. It is going to be Pelicans Warriors, 9:30 East. The Golden State Warriors are minus 3, numbers 229. And if you like the Pelicans in an upset victory on the road, they're plus $1.15 for some money line cash. Now, the Pelicans are still going to work without Zion Williamson. Lonzo Ball has also been ruled out as well. Meanwhile, Adams and Ingram have both been listed as questionable for tonight's action as well. The Pelicans have lost 3 out of their last 4, and they've really struggled on the road this season. New Orleans has been victorious in only 13 out of 35 road games. They also rank in the bottom 5 defensively in road points allowed. Now, New Orleans is taking on a Golden State team who was on a 4-game winning streak themselves, 6-1 straight up in their last 7. The Warriors have also gone 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 as well. Now, Golden State, they're comfortably nestled in a play-in game. They've got leeway up and down. So I wouldn't say like the game is pointless. They're going to get in a play-in game. So with that in mind, they might call off the horses here tonight. Because I was looking at some reports, Curry, Green, Wiggins, and Pascal, they're all listed as questionable for tonight's action. Having said that, though, we're kind of in a similar situation as the last game I just did. I think Golden State's role players are going to be able to match up nicely with New Orleans role players, and I think they should be able to get the job done at home here. Now, total-wise, 4 out of Golden State's last 7 did stay under the total. Plus, with the potential absences of key role players on both sides, I'm not so certain the total adjusted enough for those factors. Still a pretty high number. Meanwhile, the Pelicans also went 8-2 to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Golden State Warriors minus 3 and the under 229. And with that, guys, that is going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a package here today, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of May. Most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.